You already know I'm gonna talk about this because I am fucking laughing. This was the TWAB, I think 2 days ago. Thanksgiving, real life stuff, so I didn't talk about it then. Um, Also another interesting note is that it's by they don't have like official authors anymore, like Bruno and stuff like that. But anyways, I went into this actually looking forward to it because I was excited to see what Stasis buff they're cooking up, stuff like that. Spoiler alert. Um, they're all like minor stat changes, some cooldown reduction changes, and I think we get two stasis artifact perks on the on the artifact. So much for stasis season. Anyways, so yeah. Also, there's a new collaboration like with Fortnite and I think Sony. I do think it's pretty ironic that you probably get the Witcher 3 and all the DLC, and it'd probably be less than buying these armor sets. So that's cool. Artifact. So again, another funny like coincidence. I was talking like a couple of days ago to my one of my friends about like why I don't like champions and like limiting options. And I was like, what if you just had anti-barrier sidearm for a season, and like you're gonna use Forerunner maybe, and then like just the usual Wish Ender Arbalist or something. It's like, yeah, here we are. Um, so yeah, we only have one anti-barrier, unstoppable hand cannon, unstoppable. I Seeing unstoppable hand cannon kind of gives me hope that maybe Hawkman will be craftable next season, but I doubt it. They haven't announced it yet. Unstoppable bow, that's whatever. Overload auto rifle, so we can still use Quicksilver, which is nice. And then overload post, which I think is the only other weapon type outside of scouts that have been all three champion types. That's a little trivia fact for you. I'm not gonna read through all these. I think the ones to look forward to, or there's actually a couple comments to make, but Flint Striker. I believe you don't have to be on solar to do this, so that's gonna be pretty cool. Now this works in like Crucible. Ooh, Igneous Hammer with like 3 tapping, then you get Radiant on top of like I don't know whatever Rampage or Golden Tricord, and that'd be pretty funny. But yeah, like hey, if you want to use Whisper for anti-bear, or like a solar bow for anti-bear, I guess there you go. That gives you Radiant. But yeah, so and I believe this is a no, it's technically a stasis mod, but Solar Operative came back, so that's cool. I think it's 15% damage buff. So this one's starting to piss me off, right? The current, because I'm gonna get into this later because they're nerfing orbs. The current mod system is a shadow of its former self. It's completely gutted, very one-dimensional. Um, and I got like well, they did this again in Lightfall. I get really annoyed when I see old perks or like old mods and stuff being artifact mods instead of just being combat style mods we had. I remember maybe it was this season or last season where we had like precision charge back, where if you get like rapid kills with like a precision weapon, you get charge of light or arbitrary, whatever the fuck it's called. I don't know why they keep doing this shit. I don't know why they keep taking old perks and combat instead of incorporating them into the fucking actual build crafting system. Instead of doing that, they just chop it off and put it into this artifact mod that will go away. Literally, Argent Ordnance is the exact same from when Charge of Light existed, so like that's great. Um, Revitalizing Blast is back, which is basically it was a Season of Chosen mod or something, or I think it was called something different, but it it was a little different because like it would cause the explosion on a stun, and if you had stasis on, like, and stasis used to be able to reset champion stunning stuff, you could just like chain explosion. So oh well, that kind of sucks. This should just be on stunning because it's way more fun. I'm not gonna go through all these. I'll just some of the ones like blast radius used to be a charge of light perk. Rapid kills with rocket launchers, explosives give you. Why can't that just be a fucking mod on like in the game? Like I don't get it. Anyways, again, this isn't Pete Parsons. This is a developer decision. That's why I want like I don't completely when I shit on like developers sometimes because it's stuff like this. Like I feel like this is up to them on like I don't think the fucking CEO cares about anti-barrier side armor. You know what I mean? Anyways, I will try to read this line by line for the most part, so because there's some funny stuff in here. But this is what they're talking about, like the ability changes coming next week. Basically, they're trying to make it so that like lower or abilities with a longer cooldown, I guess, are more effective. Some weird shit like that. Reducing case of player survivability that exceed our power bar. Basically, like stacking woven mail, sever. Like for instance, one of my favorite builds that is technically getting nerfed is renewal grasp. Renewal grasp with whisper of chains and navigator. Like you take no damage if you throw your dust field on top of an enemy and you're inside your dust field and you sever them and get woven mail on top. You're not taking any damage, or if you are, it's severely reduced, and it's fun. It's a fun again. you're gonna see a theme of there are build options, although limited, and yet Bungie doesn't like that, so they're going to change it because they don't like the way you play. Which is again a thing I said years ago about Bungie doesn't want you to play the way you want to play. They make you play a certain kind of way. They're gonna nerf well and Order Dawn. This is mostly PvP stuff, but definitely gonna go towards PvE at some point, which is whatever. More well. They're definitely gonna probably adjust well in PvE because it's just a better bubble. I don't even click on that. Again, taking a tuning pass. So again, I maybe I'm old man Alzheimer's schizophrenia, but I could have swore they said this was a TWAB, but they're talking about like big stasis changes, and they did hint at one, which is albeit kind of like, oh, where have I seen this before? But most of the stasis changes we're gonna like see right now are just like stat adjustments and cooldown ability adjustments. I think Behemoth gets back to freeze on cast, but like nothing so like major. Like wow, like I'm super excited to play stasis again. Um. Anyways, okay. We believe that powerful abilities need to come at a meaningful cost to the players to force difficult decisions about what best builds to build. Now again, I'm gonna I'm gonna give you an example of this. To put plainly, we're not hitting that goal. There are many build crafting avenues that grant flat chunks of ability energy and nor ability cooldown tiers. This gives extremely inconsistent value depending on what grenades, melee, class abilities you have equipped. Here's an example. Before we go into that, this right here. There are builds in this game that are low investment and highly effective. For instance, if you want a Banner of War Titan build, all you really need is Syntheseps, Banner of War, Strand Titan, and then from there maybe the what is it, the Fragment of Warding or whatever, Echo of Warding, so you get Woven Mail, maybe some Suspend Grenades, very low cost ability or low cost investment, and very good build. However, even in that case, there's another like example, but I'm gonna skip to a different example because I want to be like a more fair, I guess, example of this is, for instance, on my Warlock, Arc Warlock, I like using Flux Grenades. Flux Grenades have a really long cooldown, but they're fun. I like sticking people with them. I like jolting them and stuff like that, right? So I have made a build where I am fully invested into grenade uptime. So by default, max discipline makes sense. Obviously, Arc Warlock, Echo or the Fragment of Jolting, which does take away like minus 20 for my discipline. So I have really high discipline, so that's already on a cost because I have to get really good armor that has super high discipline. So when I do minus 20, I still have 100 discipline, right? I'm using Verity's Brow, which is a specialized exotic for getting grenades back, and then I'm using arc weapons. And if I want a further boost, I'll use an arc weapon for demolitionists. Now, in Bungie's mind, that's bad because I am using buildcraft. I'm using grenade kicks or stuff to give me flat ability energy on a high cooldown ability, so I have a lot of uptime. However, again, in the context of this build, I need to get kills because it's Verity's Brow. If I don't get kills, nothing happens. And again, in my mind, to maximize this build, I need to get 5 kills, right? And you get 5 arc weapon kills. I don't have to have a weapon with demolitionist, but if I'm using a weapon with demolitionist, it's good. So again, if I bring this to GM and I'm fighting a champion, my build doesn't really do shit unless I'm killing stuff around the champion and then chaining that into. That's an opportunity cost, right? Same with Strand Titan. While it is easy to build and more or less easy to kind of master if you know, like just basically 1-2 punch stuff. However, and all the speedruns you see with like GMs, they're not really running any champions that may be unstoppable, but they're built into 1-2 punch and tractor cannon. And knowing like when to tractor, 1-2 punch, and melee is important because you're all into DPS. If you don't kill a champion with that combo, they're going to again use their immunity field, whatever. Bears can put up their barrier, and you can't do shit about it. You're gonna have to sit there and wait, right? So that is opportunity cost. Now, granted, it is a very it's not as hard to learn that, but it's still a cost. It's not like it's. I guess a high ceiling and a low floor. Like if you know pretty much nothing about stuff, you can use Strand Tide and still be good. But if you know how to optimize, yeah, it's kind of free. I can admit that, right? But there's still a cost there. There's a reason why you're building into pure damage using 1-2 punch and tractor cannon, and or again if you want to do it like how I do, I use Monte Carlo with the bayonet charge to get more melee, like stuff. There is an opportunity cost. Now, granted, how high is it? Depends. That's fine, but I'm just saying, like, just based off of that line alone, it's like isn't that kind of the point anyways of builds? Like not every obviously not every build is ability based, but the point of ability based builds is to have high uptime on ability based builds. That's kind of the point. Now, if they want to nerf that, I guess, but they did some other stuff that's really like confusing. Anyways, they're talking about like demolitionist here. They're saying that demolitionist on a firebolt grenade, which has a low cooldown anyways, is only 6.4 seconds, but on lightning grenade that has a longer cooldown, it's way higher. Which again comes back to that's kind of like just like a Bungie problem. That's how they balance the fucking game. They decided to make these individual tiers, but whatever. Um, so when stacking these buildcraft elements together, grenade kickstarts and yeah, it results in a long cooldown ability having high uptime, dramatically higher than what we intended for their potency levels. Now again, this is key. What we intend for their potency, they have a level of which makes sense, I guess, but again, just looking back at this that is kind of the entire point. Because guess what? If you're running innovation, absolution, you're gonna miss out on like a scavenger mod. There's an opportunity cost intrinsic to that. I'm just saying, but whatever. Um, so next season, base passive cooldowns for tiers and abilities will also influence the amount of. Okay, so basically, I'm assuming this means. Yeah, for lower abilities, okay, we have process the passive cooldown. Okay, but as we process through passive cooldown ability tiers and the slower charging abilities, that immediate burst of energy will be reduced to a floor 50% base of our slowest chart. So basically, like something like demolitionist here will still be 6.4, but this will be a lot less. It'll shave off like you'll probably be like it'll take like maybe 6.4 seconds off of this. Like it might be the same now instead of a huge chunk. And again, Bungie, in terms of balancing, maybe they don't remember this, but some of the best grenades in the game have a low cooldown time. For instance, I like flux grenades. That's a cope. They're not good. You know what's good? Well, firebolts kind of, but fusion grenades. Fusion grenades have a way shorter cooldown than a fucking flux grenade. I'm just saying. And with touch of flame, by the way, which has always been the problem with Solar Warlock, they explode twice. Why do you think Starfire was so good? Even now, it's still like I'm just saying. If you want to, maybe you should adjust where the how strong the grenades are and where they're. I'm just saying. But yeah, yeah. See, so like I said, Fireball's still 6.4, but now it's basically half of that. Demolitionist is effectively like 50% less effective on a longer cooldown grenade. So wow. Um, so they're saying that they're not going to really touch like actually the assets and hands on. And we're not, yeah, and again, they're gonna address knock them down at some point. Um, I don't know. We are also excluding any. I don't know. Like I said, man. I know they're saying that they probably won't touch it. I think, but it's just like I don't know. I'm a gunslinger main, and I've lost so much already. Like, and our playtesting this results and intended more variance between high and low. Again, um, this makes sense in like a perfect balanced sandbox or whatever, but it's the fact that some of the best abilities in the game already have a low cooldown, and some of the worst abilities in the game have a high cooldown. Like I think Vortex Grenade is kind of like long. Again, Flux Grenades are really long. Um, Stuff like that. But they're basically saying they're gonna keep changing it. Another thing too is that they're talking about how they've added more like defensive options, like back in the day, like back in the day, we used to have just shelter from the void, really, and that's it. Or uh, was it striking light? The old charge light arc mod, where the secondary effect is when you sprint, you gain damage resistance. Or like Omni Oculus, like even back then it wasn't like super because you didn't have a high uptime on it. But now they've changed things where resilience gives you like a 30% damage reduction just for existing. Woven Mail, obviously, they're talking about it here like a restoration cure, woven mail, overshield, stuff like that. So they're saying it's people are living a little too long, or it's a little too high, which again, fair, I can see that. Um, and again, it's one of those things like this is kind of like a Warframe example, but when I look at Berserker Titan, like or Strand Titan, sorry if I sound congested by the way, because I am. It's one of those things where, like in Warframe, there was a weapon called the Kuva Brahma, and back in the day, Warframe had self damage for explosive weapons. And the issue of explosive weapons were that they never did enough damage to the enemies to justify the self damage they did to you. Because like you could kill yourself instantly, but it would basically like not even take off half a health of like a of a grenadier, right? But then came the Kuma Brava, where it was so strong that it was so like it really was overpowered. It was so strong and so like devastating as an explosive weapon. It completely justified self damage. So it's like Berserker Titan is like the reason why things they have Wolf of Mail and Sever and all that crap is that you are literally this is in the history of Destiny up until like a certain point. Being in an enemy's face is a death sentence. Why do you think scout rifles have been popular? Why do you think people use long range options back when snipers were good? Because getting that close was the death sentence. Then we had 1-2 punch, we had stuff happen, and now people can get close quarters. But I'm just saying, they're talking about like that's what we're talking about. Like there's a fine balance because now we've added more tools so you can actually stay in the fray instead of just like plinking away with a scout rifle. And they want to balance it so you don't just go back to using a scout rifle instead of jumping in. So also, yeah, so they're targeting subclass keywords that are that we believe it strongly contribute to the most, blah blah blah. So this one I have an issue with. I agree with Wolf of Mail and Restoration. Devour, again, it's like the Verity's Brow thing. Devour has a couple of issues. First of all, it has I think they're gonna fix this, but it has a weird delay where when you proc Devour you don't immediately get your health. That's why if you see people use like Echo Vigilance and Crucible or whatever in PvE, it's because Echo Vigilance pops immediately and then Devour sometimes because to protect you while Devour has that weird delay on kills. Also, Devour is based off of kills. Granted, yes, you can get Devours by just picking up an orb. However, Devour doesn't do shit for you unless you get kills. So if you're in a boss fight with no ads, Devour doesn't do shit for you. Again, I used to use Seek and Filaments solely to just get the health regen on Devour, like to pop that. But again, Devour is kill based, and in higher end activities, unless you're going super optimized, like unless you're sliding out like some 1-2 punch crazy shit, it's like I don't know, it's weird. Anyways, so they're just gonna reduce the Wolf Mail by 10%. I don't think that's the end of the world. Again, Titan, Straight Titans has Sever, Echo of Isolation or something, where you can apply Sever at any range, whatever. Restoration's actually interesting, because I think someone pointed this out, but the way it is now, I think Restoration times 2 is the same as Restoration times 1 when Solar 3.0 came out, so that's interesting. But, yeah, so, they're removing, like, 30 to 35, yeah, that's whatever. So again, when I'm reading this Devour paragraph, it reminds me again of a weird Warframe. Oh god, yeah. Sorry, my nose is clogged. But it reminds me of a Warframe situation where Ember got reworked and like I don't know, she got nerfed first because she was too good at like killing low level shit. Devour again is probably one of the strongest healing effects when you're in low level content because you can just kill shit and just get your health back and grenade back. I mean, that's kind of the point. It's like a slaying aspect, right? And higher end activities, depending on how you build and how you play, you're not really slaying out. So Devour isn't as good in higher end content. Like there's a naturally balancing point, right? Restoration might not be good in lower end content because, I mean, it is because they don't do enough damage. But just theoretically, it's not good because it's it's a constant heal, but it's not a full heal. Devour is a full heal every kill, right? So as long as you're slaying out, you're gonna get instant health, instant health, instant health, and rather just slowly regenerating over time, right? That's kind of like the trade-off. So that's why Restoration is good and higher in content because again, doesn't require kills and it still heals you. While Devour, sure, the effect is great, instant heal and grenade energy, but you have to get a kill, right? Just saying. And yes, I will every time they talk, I will go line by line. They're talking about the ease of use of Echo Starvation. I don't know why they ever made Devour a fragment, but they did. And it was initially developed when there's fewer orbs being generated. Yep. And this orbs of power thing, I'm gonna go on like a long tirade about this shit, but whatever. The change is basically saying that they're gonna nerf Devour on everyone that isn't using Voidwalker will feed the void, which makes sense because that's kind of like their fragment. Reducing the healing amount and yeah. And if you're a Voidwalker, increasing grenade energy, which is good. I kind of just wish you could just eat your grenade like you used to. I kind of hate having to use Seek and Filaments to have a way to manually, have to manually activate Devour, but whatever. That's just a nerf, whatever. Oh, see, so now refills both health and shield section more smoothly. Cause I think this is the issue that would cause Devour not to like proc properly or like have a weird delay. So, that's whatever. Oh, this is an interesting one. I think this. I know this is like they say this is like a PvP thing, but I can definitely see this being also a PvE nerf. For certain like scenarios, they're basically saying if you don't know, people can shoot and then slide into like a shoulder charge shield bash, kind of like how you just shotgun melee normally, but this time you can use like a stronger melee with tracking. So they're basically saying they want to not do that. So yeah, sprint slide activated melees can no longer be activated after firing their weapons. So this affects all this stuff. They buff Tempest Strike to do this. But another interesting note is that a thing that people used to do was have a 1-2 punch shotgun and then sprint slide into a shield bash or like a hammer strike or basically a stronger melee ability. Or I don't know if this would affect grapple melee, because another popular thing is that you'd use a strand titan with grapple. You would shoot and then grapple melee, which I assume is like coded as a shoulder charge. So I don't know. This would be interesting because if it does, because it doesn't say it affects grapple melee here. But if it does affect grapple melee, then I could definitely see this because and this was like a couple years ago. I'd definitely say this nerf was definitely for PvE because back in the day, Worm God, you would stack like all your Worm God stacks up, get your banner, put down your bubble, and then 1-2 punch slide shotgun into a boss and melt them. So that's an interesting change. They're just buffing Tempest Strike. That's what I run to use it. This one's an interesting one. This one's a oof. Um, and I never watched the Joe Blackburn stream, but apparently he said like, oh, we're not gonna nerf Strand Titan and some other thing soon, like Hammer soon or whatever. But I guess they are. Who cares? Like I said, man, just words. Currently, they're basically saying everyone loves Banner War, which is good. Um, and they're saying don't want to reduce potency. However, it's too easy to build up to maximum charge quickly and whatever. Um, they're going to basically increase the number of stacks you need to get the max level, but they're also increasing the timer. Now this isn't the end of the world. Some might see this as a buff because the only thing that increasing the stacks of Banner of War did was basically the stronger healing pulse. But if you got a kill anyways, it gave you the max like damage buff for your melee and your sword, unless they're changing that too. Yeah, see. Oh no, that's just a bug. But yeah, as long as you get one stack of Banner of War, you get the max stacks for damage. So that's interesting. This is basically talking about Solar 3.0, and I'm gonna sum it up. Basically, what they're saying is the reason why no one really used Code of the Devastator Middle Tree Hammer was that the hammer was strong, but it had really two restrictions. One, there's really no way like survivability wise to heal yourself, and two, the hammer, because back in the day you didn't have separate melee binds for uncharged and charged melee. So if you want to use your hammer, you have to like have a kind of like that weird sweet spot of when you want to throw your hammer or not. And the moment they made unbound melees, you saw it happen. Everyone can just throw the hammers at their feet and constantly make hammer uptime, right? So this is a really big change though what they're doing. So essentially, when you throw your hammer, you pick it up, you will still get your hammer back, like your full hammer charge. However, it's going to be over 1.4 seconds instead of instantly, so you can't just keep chucking hammers back to back, which is a pretty huge deal. Also, they increased the projectile tracking strike. I really wish they didn't do that because most people use it to throw it at like things in front of their face or whatever. They're also nerfing sunspots. Excuse me. The issue, like not issue, but sunspots. I never liked the rework because they used to do damage and give you ability energy. Now they heal you, but whatever. They're just going to basically adjust how much how long they last. So 8-second nerf here, and some other crap. Well, Radiance, they're basically, this is more PvP oriented, but they're basically saying they're increasing their cooldown so they don't come out as often, and they're still going to look at other things to address them, because well, Radiance and Bubble are really strong, and PvP, and again, when you make a game mode about, especially in Trials, now that Trials is about zone control, when you make a zone control game mode, and I have a super that makes me control a zone, why not use it? Like I just saying. Yeah, and then they're gonna change Well's dominance in PvP. That's whatever. I don't really care about Well. So again, this was the one I was looking forward to, like a really big, huge stasis buff. Event again. Season of Wish is very apt because just like Ahamkara Wish Magic, I wish for something and then the monkey paw curls into a middle finger and it fucks me. So, anyways, all they had to do here was just remove all the stat penalties. That's all I had to do. But anyways, um, they're removing some penalties and giving some other stuff. However, the one thing that hurts is Whisper of Shards no longer gives you 10 resilience. And if you don't know what Whisper of Shards does, that is when you break a stasis crystal, increases your grenade recharge rate, and that is one of the cornerstones of my builds for my Dustfield build. So that sucks. And when you see what happens at Kickstarts too, that kind of sucks too. So I really had one season when they unnerfed, or two seasons when they unnerfed Renewal Grass. So it was fun while it lasted. Um, but yeah. Okay, this one they changed from -10 mobility to -20 strength. Interesting. I forget what Whisper of Hunger does. This one's just buffing Withering Blade, whatever. They're buffing Winter Shroud, that's whatever. Again, these aren't, when I'm looking at these buffs, these aren't like things that I'm like, oh my god, this is like a huge, again, they made this seem like this is gonna be a huge stasis overhaul. This is like just a little hotfix patch where they're changing numbers. Now they said they're hinting at something else bigger in the future, but whatever. Shiver Strike now slows players on hit. That's a reversion of a nerf. And they made it so it works with kickstarts. Cool. Glacier Quakes now freeze on cast, so that's cool. But they just reduced the size of it. That's fine. Howl of the Storm was not good. Okay, so they're just fixing that. That's whatever. Okay, they're just again, these are like minor too. I'm looking at this like Disenchain, whatever. Freeze detonation size is increased by a whole whopping 0.5 meters. Woo! They another 0.5 meters per normal blast. Okay, so they reduced glacier grenades base cooldown by 30 seconds. That's pretty nice. Oh, I forgot to tell you. I forgot to tell you. But another thing, if you didn't know, it even tells you in the tooltips, is that Stasis naturally has slower charging abilities than all the light-based ones. And again, this goes back to what I said at the very beginning, where just because, again, in their mind, they're like, okay, long cooldown means very powerful, right? Guess what? All the light subclasses are way stronger than Stasis, and they have intrinsically faster cooldowns than Stasis does. So even by their own logic, it doesn't make why the Stasis the way it is. It makes no sense, right? I'm just saying that's another thing. All Stasis abilities have naturally longer regen, so they're adjusting that. Okay, that's cool. Again, they're just fixing stuff, whatever. I guess this is like an interesting buff where now you get 10% bonus damage for shattering someone with freeze with a special weapon. Again, I'm just gonna. Where have you heard this before? A new stasis keyword that we're tentatively calling Frost Armor is aimed at addressing players' feedback regarding survivability when running stasis. I wonder what Frost Armor does. I wonder if there's another darkness subclass that also has like a damage reducing ability for doing so. Whatever. So again, they're saying these aren't all the changes they have in the works, but again, my brain is like, I thought this was supposed to be the season where they buff stasis or whatever. I'm guessing we're gonna have to wait mid-season patch for them to actually fix or buff stasis properly. So, they're saying they're gonna adjust some keywords, additional behavior to the harvest, adding additional behavior to the harvest aspect. Again, I think just like how all strand subclasses can make tangles because all the keywords involve making tangles or whatever, like they create tangles when you kill someone using them. All the harvest aspects should just be built into stasis that just give them new aspects. I know that takes a lot of work or whatever, but I'm just saying baseline, all the harvest aspects should just be a stasis thing. That should be a stasis keyword, harvest or whatever. I'm just saying. So yeah, that's your big stasis rework. Now this is where the cope and the seeds come from. Every time to do an armor tuning thing, I've even said in the past videos, they'll like buff like one thing and nerf like 18 other things. So if you're wondering, are they gonna buff Blight Ranger or Magical Quiet One or like fix Prometheus? No. Okay. So Shards of Galanor. we've seen some of these previews because they're actually like throwing knife kills, not grant super energy. Not bad. That's cool. This one, more or less, this is knife kills now grant a stacking damage bonus to throwing knives, dodging refresh iteration. This is a funny way of saying Aether's Embrace exists and just does this better without requiring kills. Literally just use knock them down with Radiant Ember of Torches, and all you have to do is get like 3 precision hits in a row, like use a pulse rifle or just shoot three something and hit like 3 headshots, and you get like a super weighted throwing knife that will like one shot pretty much everything that isn't a boss or a champion, and you don't have to worry about getting kills every 5 seconds or dodging. Just saying. Um, Zombies are reverting the you needing the full class ability. They are reducing how fast you go in the air, stuff like that. Now you get damage reduction. Of course, I'll tell you this one. Now, you see this Mechanier Trick Sleeves, and you're thinking, oh, you must be happy. Oh, they did the thing you were in that video you made about, oh, if they do this thing, it'd be so cool and so busted. It's gonna be amazing. Now, granted, this buff, if they haven't changed something, is gonna be great for PvE. Sure, I'm fine. However, I am not a PvP man. I really am not. However, when I do play PvP, I exclusively use this exotic because I think it is very funny and very cool to have 1v3 clutches where you just pull out your super powered sidearm at low health and you just murder someone and you just keep going, and they have effectively killed that. So let us read this. Sidearm damage bonus now persists for 5 seconds after your shield begins to recharge. That is huge. That right there is huge. Especially in PvE, that is huge. And in PvP, that is huge. Sidearm kills extend the damage duration by 3 seconds and completely reloads your sidearm. That is also huge. Because I said, even if it was like 1 second or 2, there's a play. 3 seconds, fantastic. However, the damage bonus went from 35% to 10%. And that's what kills it. That is what kills it. Now, yes, is 10% damage nice? Free 10% damage for getting, yes. It does shift TTK, stuff like that. But what made Trick Sleeves potent, what made them like a really good comeback, like super cool exotic. Again, the entire idea, like when someone made Trick Sleeves, I could envision what they were thinking of. Like, this is like the oh shit panic button, pull out my starter and just obliterate something. That is gone. That is gone. And I'm being serious. While they might, though, there's actually a really funny build like I showed off in that video. Well, there could be something really funny that comes from this in PvE. I more or less exclusively use this for PvP, and now they're kind of dead to me. Again, that 10% can shift TTKs, but you're not going to get the cool 2 bursts on your aggressive frame sidearms anymore. You're not going to get like, you're not going to be able to like the 3 taps on for like a precision sidearm. I asked for Trick Sleeves to be buffed, and they fucking nerfed. And again, I get it. That having a 5-second window and essentially 8 seconds to extend to have 35%, would it be broken? Possibly. But would it be fun to just say, for once, Mechanier Trick Sleeves is meta? Just like how Heartlight was meta. You would never have thought of that. I'm just saying. Whatever, fine, okay, whatever. I'm not angry. I'm just sad. Anyways. Bombardiers actually now apply slow stacks, so they can apply 60% slow stacks to PvE people, whatever. Trident Vice is basically like Syntheseps now, where it has 100% damage bonus. So that's cool. And in PvP, interesting. Oh, Nighthawk, finally. This is what Nighthawk needed. Increasing precision kills not grant super energy. Again, a while back, I'm a hunter main, so you're gonna hear me go on a tirade about hunter stuff. But I said the reason why I don't think Celestial Nighthawk is trash. Obviously it doesn't do as much damage like it used to do, because games change. But it was the uptime on it, because back in the day when we saw subclass perks, what made Nighthawk good is that it basically became a super powered Izanagi shot that you had on command. And again, I was using the GM the other day or a couple weeks ago, and it was pretty much the I don't want that champion to exist anymore button, so I'm just gonna delete it. So what made Nighthawk good was its uptime with Golden Gun and just the high damage, and this kind of brings it back. Practice makes perfect. I kept saying we need to bring it back. My retard brain forgot it's already in the game now, because when you do damage, especially with like exotic primaries or whatever, like you get more super energy, you get like a way more. So this is gonna be good. Cool. I can use Celestial Nighthawk. Cyber's Enclosure, whatever. Peregrine Greaves this is technically a nerf right here. You have to be airborne for more time, and you can't just like tap jump and do it. And apparently, damaging them will increase the damage more and give you all your melee back. So you can kind of spam it. So that's kind of cool. So that's actually more or less a buff. Worm Gods got completely reworked. So you need to get melee kills and finishers and stuff like that to build up a meter. The higher the meter is, the more damage you get. And also applies weapon bonuses. Cool. As it passes back down. Okay. So basically, it's one of those things where like unlike a timer-based buff, where once it hits 0, you don't lose everything. You just start losing it slowly. So that's interesting. Ashen Wave can now stun unstoppables. That's nice. Synthetics finally got nerfed again. Like they removed the extended London distance. This is definitely PvP change. Basically, you get like a threat detector thing right here, but they also reduce the damage by like what is it, like 25%? I can't do math. Sorry. 35%. Sorry. So another nerf there. They did increase the glaive damage bonus, so now you're actually doing less damage while using a glaive than an uncharged melee, so that's cool. Precious Stars now it gives you restoration, which is cool because this is for any subclass. Of course, Solar can extend it, but that's pretty cool. Wrathweavers. I will tell you right now, one of my most hated phrases I've ever seen in any like TWAB or buffing thing. If I ever see anything that says Tier 4 Surge, I immediately want to fucking like cry. This is basically the fun killer. That's the fun killer keyword. Basically, if you don't know, Wrathweavers used to give you I think 10 or 15% stasis weapon boost. And again, this was super niche. Only like the top 1% players ever took advantage of this. I'm not gonna pretend like I'm a Wrathweavers like connoisseur, but it was unique interaction. And I'm gonna skip down here, but they've killed it now because now it's a stack tier 4 stasis surge, which means it doesn't stack anymore for anything else. So it's pretty much whatever. But now when you cast the Frost Pulse, where if you get tier 2 stasis weapon surge, which again you might say, oh that's nice because you have to use Frost Pulse obviously, but hey, but now you get like tier 2 for free. This is not stack, so it's pointless. Now in PvP that might be something. Also they gave an overshield that might be worth something in like solo play, whatever. Again, this right here, the fact that it's tier 4 automatically kills it for what it was used for, so whatever. So Wrathweavers got kind of buffed. Like I'm sure for general play, it got buffed. Like I'm not more or less angry because this more or less like a buff for most people to actually even try the exotic. But like it's one of those things, kind of like Retrixes, where like I know like not a lot of people use it, but it's like what they use it for is like a little niche, and now it's kind of gone. Apotheosis Veil grants you Cure. Apotheosis Veil, it's also just a neutral exotic. When you cast your super, you get your abilities back, so that's cool. After super ends, you now gain temporarily greatly increased melee grenade regen. Now, my friend, we were wondering if this is gonna be like kind of like what Sunbracers does, or just like a 500%, like who knows? But that's interesting. Felger's Helm basically is actually just getting buffed, where they're just saying they're increasing like let's say a tier 1 finisher or melee kills like 5 meters, they're gonna move it up, so now tier 1 just a tier 2, where it's like just a bigger radius, which is cool. Carnstein Armlets, I use these a lot. Fantastic. Now they give you Cure and Restoration for 8 seconds, which is cool. And finishers give you tier 3 Cure and Restoration, tier 2 Restoration for 8 seconds. Great, that's cool. Again, Carnstein Armlets are just a neutral subclass exotic, but again, if you use Restoration, you can improve it with Solar. And I happen to run it on Solar anyway, so interesting. This is a lot of words, but essentially they're moving, I think, the damage buff from Sective Insight to Sective Force, and the super buff from Sective Force to Sective Insight. And like it's whatever. I mean, I don't use Aeon, so I don't care. Sorry. This one's fun. And I'm gonna take a quick fucking water break here. Hold on. Let me just mute myself real quick. Alright, my audio's gonna sound a little different, but whatever. Anyways, this is fun. Okay. We're also adjusting several armor mods. To reiterate, we touched that the game basically like high ability uptime or whatever. I'm sorry, I'm just rereading it. Okay, so heavy-handed firepower and Reaper now have a 10-second cooldown for generating orb. Now, you might be saying, okay, that's a pretty big nerf because if you use heavy-handed with like hammers or arc strider, you can just constantly shut out orbs. 10 seconds is an interesting time reduction cooldown because if you don't know, I'm pretty sure armor charges either last 8 or 10 seconds, so you're gonna have to run a time dilation mod if you want to take effect of any of this crap, which is nice. That's very nice. Reaper now instead of backpacking an orb whenever, you have to have it use it within 10 seconds. Usually not the end of the world, but it kind of sucks. Kickstarts. So they're basically increasing the amount of energy a kickstart can give you. However, you have to have an armor charge required. So for instance, in my Dustfield build, I don't have any way to get armor charge because I just need the kickstart to help me boost over the initial like cooldown, so I can just use shards and stuff like that to get it over. You at least have to have an armor charge, and to have at least an armor charge, you're gonna have to at least run a time dilation because, or get like a lot of because the double kill like siphon mods haven't been changed. But unless you're getting like double kills out the ass, using Reaper, Firepower, Heavy Hand, or a nice way to get a single orb, you're gonna at least have to run a time dilation out too, which is nice. Even more restrictions, cool. Um, so that's cool. Again, I'm probably going to take out kickstarts or figure out something else now. They are respectively acquired. Okay, so you're gonna have to use powered melees to give to use these now, which kind of sucks, but whatever. Um, they're adjusting the values in bomber, whatever. They're adjusting this, they're adjusting that. Also, yeah, if you have a fast class ability cooldown, these don't give you as much because you have high uptime. And then this is Fireteam Finder, whatever, archives. But that's pretty much it. And like I said, you can. There's a point to be made that all this is for the balance of the game. I completely understand that. However, just like when Bungie says they don't, that when they buff and nerf, just like when I talk about how Bungie buffs and nerf shit, they usually makes the context of a lot of crap, in my opinion. And just look at this TWAB. Does this TWAB make sense and yada yada stuff like that? Like should these changes be made? Maybe you can argue yes or no. The game's too easy. Fine. However, context matters. Right now, people are really bummed out. Final Shape might be delayed. They haven't announced it, but people are assuming it's going to be delayed. We might be in for a 6-month long season with anti-barrier sidearm, right? Even though I like sidearms, I think anti-barrier sidearm sucks. Right? All the shit that happened at Bungie, or they let go of all these people, like Salvatore, all this crap just happened, right? Community sentiment is at a all-time low. And then the one glimmer of hope, at least I would think most people have, was like, oh, there's a 12 coming up, they might buff stasis, so hey, at least for the next like season that might be 6 months long, I mess around stasis. You adjust some things, like some value changes and stuff like that, and then you nerf a lot of shit. That is, again, in context, that's a really shitty TWAB. That is a really shitty TWAB. If this was at a different time, this might be a different conversation. But just in the context of what's happening right now, this is a really shitty TWAB. And my biggest issue is that Lightfall has done a lot of bad to the game. Another big bad it did was that it completely gutted the build crafting system. Bungie, again, this is all on Bungie. They decided that everything now is going to revolve around orbs of power, right? And every single build that we have in this game is that involve these mods, or is that you make an orb and an orb does something for you. You make an orb, you pick up an orb, and that's it, right? That's all it does. That's all it does. You want extra grenade energy, pick up an orb. You want more, whatever, pick up an orb. So when the entire mod system revolves around orbs, and then you're going to nerf that just seems dumb to me. However, if this was again a year or two ago, where we had Charge of Light, War Mindset, all these other build crafting options, then yeah, sure. Then who cares, right? But again, this is one of those things where Bungie just shot themselves in the foot because you gutted the system, you made everything rely around this one thing, and now you're nerfing this one thing, which will trickle down and affect everything else. And again, not every build in the game is a what you call about abilities or whatever. Like again, I use my gunslinger build, with knock them down and or gunpowder get them on your mark because I just like the feel of my guns and handling, reload, explosions, right? But the people who build around ability based builds, it just kind of fucking blows, you know. And again, I'm not gonna argue about some of this ability uptime, like, you know, with Banner War Titan, even fusion grenades and shit. But again, like, I just you gotta save this for later, bunch. You gotta just save this for later. And yeah, who knows? Maybe the mid-season patch will be the best thing ever, and everything's gonna be buffed, and we're all gonna be okay or whatever. But and again, I probably should have phrased this first. Um, this will affect the builds a lot more, like the current builds we have now, but nothing. At least from what I've seen, nothing's just gonna die overnight. Like Strand Titan's gonna be fine, I'm sure. Suspend Titan's gonna be fine. My Renewal Dust or my Renewal Grass build, I was like, oh, it's over, but it's gonna be fine. It's gonna take a little more like finagling. I have to mess around with some armor stuff, but I think for the most part it's gonna be fine. It's just that all these nerfs and stuff at this time just kind of fucking blows. I just don't get it. It's like whatever. But yeah, that's your TWAB. I mean, the only thing I'm gonna be looking forward to is using Dragon's Breath again, because that was actually a really fun exotic back in Destiny 1. And hey, I can use Overload like Eyes of Tomorrow, or just use Gallahorn or something, right? Again, I'm surprised they haven't addressed any of the weapons really. I was really looking forward to like a DMT buff or something. Like all these were just ability tuning stuff, nothing really involving weapons outside like glaives and shit like that. So maybe next TWAB they'll talk about it. Next TWAB is obviously will be during the season of the Wish, but yeah. Also the Fire Team Finder coming in. That's interesting. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for listening to ramble on for like about an hour, and yeah. My final note is I'm very sad. I asked for a Trick Sleeves buff, and I technically got it. Uh, what a wish. What a wish. Anyways, thanks for watching.